So guys, Bob Arum is optimistic that Terence Crawford v Errol Spence will be made next. He says that if Spence wants to make big pay-per-view money, he needs to fight Terence Crawford. I don't agree with Bob Arum at all. I actually don't think that, Terence Crawford v Errol Spence is a big pay-per-view fight at all, if I'm honest. I think they'd have to build that fight. I still don't think either guy's a big enough star to sell that. I think Errol Spence is a bigger star than Terence Crawford. I just don't think the fight's big enough, though. I don't think it's big enough, if I'm totally honest with you. So I don't agree with Bob Arum about him saying that, the only big pay-per-view fight for Errol Spence to make good money is the Terence Crawford fight. Errol Spence could fight Manny Pacquiao if he beats Keith Thurman, which would be a huge pay-per-view fight, in my opinion. Spence Garcia did about, what, nearly 350, 400,000 pay-per-view buys? I don't know what exactly it did. I feel that, if Pacquiao beats Thurman, that does more. I also think if Thurman beats Pacquiao, I feel that that fight can do, I feel that fight can do big numbers as well. Probably not as big as the Pacquiao one, but it'll do big numbers. I don't think Crawford and Spence is a big fight at all. I think although they're saying that it's a big pay-per-view, I think it only appeals to the hardcores. Does the casuals know who Terence Crawford is? No. Do the casuals know who Errol Spence is? No. If you look at their social media followings, they've hardly got any followers. And what that suggests to me is that nobody knows who they are. Like, I think Terence Crawford has like 100,000 followers on Twitter and stuff like that. This is a guy that was the undisputed light welterweight champion, the best fighter in the world, according to many people. And he only has 100,000 followers on Twitter. It doesn't have much of a following at all. And Errol Spence is probably the same. They're not known. They're not household names. Neither of them. So how are they going to do big pay-per-view numbers? The only way you do big pay-per-view numbers is if the casuals are tuning in and buying the fights, buying the pay-per-view events. They're not. Also, I don't even think the fight's big enough. I think the fight's impossible to make because Bob Arum's not going to want Terence Crawford, being one of his main stars, to fight on a PBC, Fox or Showtime or whatever. And likewise, I don't think Al Heyman would want Errol Spence fighting on ESPN. It just doesn't make any sense. And the fight's not big enough where they can do it on a joint do a joint broadcast. They can't. It's not big enough. The fights that we've had in the past, like Joshua Klitschko, or, what was it, Pacquiao Mayweather. These were super big fights, that were generating a lot of money for everybody. We're talking about probably Joshua Wilder, fights like that, Fury, Wilder. These are big, massive fights. Spence and Crawford are not big, massive fights. Welterweight division was where the action is at. And I still think where it's at. But the problem is the guy's not big enough names. Pacquiao's probably a bigger name than anybody in the welterweight division. And probably one of the biggest names in boxing. And he's on the way out. And that's the problem. A lot of these guys don't have the name recognition. They don't have, their name doesn't bring anything like, Pacquiao's name did, like Mayweather's name did, These guys just don't have that name. And that's why it's difficult to make these fights, because the fights aren't financially big enough for everybody to make money out of. And I think that's where the problem is. And that's why I think the fight is not going to happen next. And that's why I think that this fight is going to take a long time to make. And that's the problem right now. But leave your thoughts. I think the only way the fight happens is if maybe Terence Crawford leaves Top Rank and maybe joins Al Heyman when his contract's done. I don't know how it will work. But leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.